believe that my portfolio is a true representation of myself, from the artwork to the music that I'm going to show you later, and to the things inside, because I believe that it shows how I truly am. From the front, on the cover, there is a poster of my favorite bands, which is He Is Legend, Fall of Troy, and Showbread, and that's something that really matters to me because I love music. And then on the back, I have this really cool picture of faces, and I think it's really cool. And from the inside, I have a lot of my humor, and on all my speeches, I don't mean to do it, but whenever I get nervous, I tend to get funny and kind of ridiculous, and so that's really shown throughout all my speeches. And I guess with my humor, I can tell you a few stories that have happened in my life in just the past week. Sarah, do you believe in ghosts? Being approached with this question at work was really confusing for me. My manager began to tell me a story of there's a ghost haunting McDonald's, and it was really interesting, and so everyone gathered around and we were closing, and they just started telling us a story of how one day it was like 12:30, and so nobody takes food and nobody makes it and nobody takes orders, but a lady came through drive-thru and she was like, "Hey, where's my food?" And she started getting really hysterical, and she's like, "Somebody took my order," and she's just yelling at all the managers, and they're like, nobody had a headset on, nobody could have done this, so they were just really confused. And they've come to the conclusion that it was Carlos. And Carlos is a man that used to work there until he died, and we got a new manager now, and ever since we got the new manager, there's just weird stuff happening. One day I was in drive-thru, and nobody was back there. I had the window closed, and I wasn't touching anything. There's like a stack of papers on a tray, and they all just fell on my face. And I was creeped out, so I ran out of there, and I was like, I'm not doing drive-thru anymore. But my true story of how hilarious this is after they told me this story, everyone was telling stories of their own experiences. They were like, "Sarah, can you please go get a mop from the back room?" And me being a good worker and just really wanting to help out, said, "Of course, I'll go get a mop in the back room." And I go in there, and the mop's taking a while to fill up, so I'm just sitting there, and next thing I know, I look at the door, and it's locked, and I'm like freaking out. I'm thinking Carlos is coming to get me, because previously when we were having the conversation, I said, "That's just ridiculous, I don't believe in ghosts." And I was like, great, Carlos is coming to get me because I don't believe in him. And I was looking at the light switch, waiting for it to turn off, and I thought it was my doom. I thought it was the end of my life. And so I'm nearly in tears. I'm trying to call everybody that I'm working with. Nobody's answering their phones, and I'm ready to start crying. And finally, they all open the door, and they're laughing, and I'm just like, really? This is my life? I work at McDonald's, and this is what they do to me? So that's one funny story that's happened to me last week. And then this week, I think it was Monday, yeah. I wake up to my mom knocking on my door. She says, and she starts just yelling. She's like, "Sarah, your mom and your dad want you to go feed the dog." So I was like, okay, I'll go feed the dog. This is ridiculous. They can do it themselves. I go downstairs, and I'm like really tired and everything. And all my family's just sitting on the couch looking at me. And that's already really peculiar because we don't do that at my house. We kind of do our own thing. And so I'm looking at them, they're looking at me smiling, and I just automatically knew something was wrong about that, and I wanted, my gut instinct was telling me, "Sarah, just turn around, walk back up the stairs, go to your room." But me being an obedient child and having the respectful fear of my parents, I said, okay, I'll just go do it. So I walk into the garage, and the light's taking a while to turn on, and I'm going and I'm getting the dog food, and the light finally turns on, and I'm like bending over, getting the dog food. I'm not looking at where I'm going, and I hit the dog food, and so it like jumps towards me, and I'm in bare feet, just to let you know. And something hits my foot. So I look down, and there's a dead rat in a rat trap, and it's looking at me. And I scream, I throw the food everywhere, I run out, and I'm like, "There's a rat in there," and they laugh and laugh. And then they're like, "Okay, Sarah, go pick up the dog food." So I have to go pick up the dog food, and like, I'm trying not to look at the rat, and I'm just scared. and then they make me clean it up. They make me throw away the rat. You know how cruel that is to a 17-year-old girl? Because I think rats are cute. They don't gross me out, except for when they're dead looking at me. That was just wrong with my parents. So those are my 2 stories of my humor and, you know, funny things that have happened in my life. And I will tell you how I think I did on some of my speeches. Like I've already stated, I think that my personality really comes through in my speeches because I am very humorful. And sometimes I think that this can be a good thing for me, but other times I think it's kind of been a downfall to my speeches because people might take it as I'm not taking it seriously and I didn't spend the time on it, but it really is just when I get nervous, I get really ridiculous and say silly things. And I consider, so that's just one of my nervous habits. One of the speeches that, on occasion I would like grip the table and lose concentration like I just showed you. That was just me demonstrating that. I would really grip the table and get nervous and totally lose my train of thought, especially like if people are doing hand gestures and things like that in the background, and I would just get really distracted. But I've kind of come past that because right there what I just did, that was just me showing you that was just a demonstration. Right now I'm totally knowing what I'm doing. And so I would just get really nervous, and so I would try to entertain you guys and not really go by what my speech is telling me to do. And one of the stupidest things I've said in this class, I believe, is when I was talking about Queen Esther in my first speech, I said, her beauty is so beautiful. And after, I started laughing right after I did that, because I was, did that really come out of my mouth? Did I really just say that? Because I'm not a stupid person. But it just came out, and right afterwards I was like, oh God, why did I say that? But then I got over that, and right now, I'm not really being as stupid as I usually am once I get up here. And I'm really proud of that because during this class I've made jumped over hurdles and done a lot of work, and this speech, I think I've done a lot better on it than I have on a lot of my other speeches, and I'm very proud of it.